Hi everyone, Pastor Wes here, still talking about spiritual disciplines, and today's discipline is evangelism. Ooh, nobody likes to talk about that. I've done some evangelizing in my time, and it's actually a really great joy. But I will admit that it's always kind of fearful before you start. Okay, so if you're going to start talking to somebody about the Lord, you feel a great fear beforehand, but then after you're done, it's a great joy. You know that you just followed the Lord, you just fulfilled part of the Great Commission, you've done exactly what you needed to do. And so why is that? Why is that great fear there before the great joy? But just remember, in life, almost everything that we do that's important, everything that we do that's valuable, some fear comes before the great joy. Okay, so before a great victory, there is this kind of great fear that comes over us. Just think about a basketball player who's about to score the game-winning shot. Okay, he or she is going to feel incredible fear as he or she stands there on the line, and the whole stadium's going nuts. And some people want him him or her to make the shot. Some people want him to miss the shot. But after it's over, great joy, because you just won. Or thinking about you're going to give a presentation at work. This is the thing that you've been hoping for. This is the thing that you've been wanting to do. You want the promotion. You want to get your ideas into the company. You want to climb that ladder. But before you make that presentation, what happens? You get sick to your stomach because you're so afraid of what could go wrong here. How could this end badly? And then, of course, like say on your wedding day. On your wedding day, I mean, it's one of the most fearful days of your life, but great joy follows. All right, so anytime that you do anything important, fear is going to be followed by the joy. So that's exactly what's going to happen with evangelism. There is something that the guy said in the book that I thought was really poignant and really convicting. A lot of times people will say, in kind of a humility, well, there's just no way I could ever convince somebody to become a Christian. I don't have the words. I'm not an eloquent speaker, so I just can't do it. And he said poppycock on that. He said that's rubbish talk, because what he said is that it's not humility, it's doubt. It's doubt. Because remember, where does the power come from? The power is in the message itself. The power is in the gospel itself. It's not in your words. So for anybody to say, I just don't think I could present the gospel very well, what are you doubting? Are you doubting yourself, or are you doubting the gospel? Feel free to doubt yourself all you want, but don't doubt the gospel. And as simple of a gospel presentation as you might be able to make, guess what? It could be really powerful. John Bunyan he was a writer. He wrote the Pilgrim's Progress. He was a great Christian evangelist from centuries ago. He said that one of the most life-changing gospel presentations he ever heard was two little peasant women talking, not directly to him. They were talking about spiritual things with each other. And it was a very simple conversation among uneducated peasant women. He said it was a big turning point in his own spiritual Christian life. He, an educated person, a person who could write, was very moved by very humble people. All right, so nobody. I don't want to hear anybody ever say that they can't share the gospel. They just don't have the words. They just don't have the power within themselves. Of course you don't. The power is in the message. Of course, then the thing is, do you know the message at all? Do you know? Do you have any idea what to say at all? And so there is something to evangelism training, but training isn't everything. Training isn't what you need. You probably need more courage than training. We've gone over it a little bit at church, but anytime you want to have some more evangelism training, just come by. I'll talk to you all day long about how to share the gospel. But the two things that you need to know are sort of the bare bones of the gospel. What is the gospel message? And then the second thing is your testimony. You need to be armed with your testimony. If Jesus has changed your life, you can talk about that all day long. Most of the time, people can talk about their own personal experience, something that happened in their life. They can talk about themselves all day long. So if Jesus has really come into your life and changed your life, you can talk about that. That is a very powerful evangelistic tool. But remember, we talked about the Romans road. I've given you those verses, and I've talked about the 4 spiritual laws. If you don't remember what those are, come ask me. I'll tell you. But If you have those kinds of simple bare bones gospel presentation tools and your testimony, you've got everything that you need to get out there and be courageous and start sharing the gospel. The other thing I will say is that he calls this a discipline, because we have to make it happen. It doesn't just happen accidentally. You have to make it happen. You have to seek opportunities. You have to seek interactions with people that will lead to a gospel conversation. So, maybe you work with a lot of people who are not believers. They are your mission field. But you're probably not going to be able to have the chance to talk to them about it on company time or while you're at work. You've got other things that everybody has to be doing. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to get to know them outside of work. You're going to have to invite them over for coffee or dessert or dinner, or go to a movie. Maybe not a movie because you can't talk at a movie very much, but invite them out for conversation of time when you really will be able to talk to them. And then ask them questions. Be vulnerable about your own personal life. Ask them about their personal life. And then ask them if you can pray for them. Ask them if what their biggest concern in life is. What's the thing that's weighing them down? That's stressing them out? Ask them about those things. And eventually, it'll come around to a point where you can say, well, let me tell you how I handle this in my life. And I'm a Christian, so this is what I do. This is what I believe. This is how I live. And of course, you need to be praying for people, praying for opportunities to share the gospel. And if you're mindful of that, I promise you, Jesus will bring himself up in conversation sooner or later, and probably sooner. One of those things that I've always prayed for, there have been times that I prayed for money or a cool car or something like that, and those prayers don't get answered very fast. But anytime I've ever asked the Lord for an opportunity to do some ministry or to share the gospel, those prayers get answered very quickly. Very quickly. So ask the Lord to bring himself up in conversation. He'll do it. Okay? But remember, it's a discipline. You got to make it happen. You got to make it happen. Christians for centuries have been avoiding evangelism. It's easy to do. It's easy to fall by the wayside. It's easy to forget. But there is something godly about it. There is something godly about having that message to proclaim, being the message, the source of a message of hope and truth. That is what you want. That is part of the godliness of it. And then feeling that joy after the fear, after you face the fear of evangelizing, feeling that joy, knowing that you obeyed the call of God to do this very difficult thing. Okay, so discipline yourself, pray about it, and make it happen. Okay, bye.